Here. Okay. Well, let's just, all right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our conversation this morning, Justice for All, a story about inclusion. For those of you that may not know me, I am Nicole Shepherd. I'm the Manager of Policy and Partnerships with the Regina Chamber. A quick reminder, if you haven't already, please be sure to mute yourself for the duration of the conversation this morning. I think we're all pretty used to the drill now, so looks like everyone is already on mute. Thank you for that. As we get started, I would like to just take a quick moment to thank our sponsors for this morning's event: TD Bank, TC Energy, Midgard, Buckingham Security, Bromwich and Smith, and Andrea Norberg Photography, our door prize sponsor for this morning. And of course, Creative Options Regina, who organized our speakers and a very interesting conversation for us this morning. Thank you very much to all of our sponsors for your continued support. Because of you, we're able to continue to hold these events and share valuable information and stories like the one that we're going to hear about this morning. So we are pleased to have with us three speakers this morning who I have the pleasure of introducing to you now. Do we know if Aaron has joined us yet before I introduce him?
No, not yet.
No? Okay. Well, in hopes that he'll be able to join us soon, I will introduce Aaron Orban, the Executive Director of the Access and Privacy Branch with Integrated Justice Services in the Government of Saskatchewan. In this role, he also serves as a Chief Privacy Officer for the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Corrections, Policing and Public Safety. Aaron holds a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Social Work degree from the University of Regina. He's worked with the Saskatchewan Public Service for over 25 years, including frontline work in corrections with youth and adults, as a portfolio officer with the Saskatchewan Information and Privacy Commissioner, and as Director of Access and Privacy with the Ministry of Health, as well as Assistant Ombudsman with Ombudsman Saskatchewan. So quite a career with the public service. Away from work, Aaron and his wife stay busy, keeping up with their two teenage daughters, staying active in the community, and volunteering for all sorts of things. Aaron wants you to keep your head up as he is helping his oldest get ready for her driver's exam. So hopefully he's not tied up with that this morning on these roads. We also have with us Allen Faye, who is Lucas's father, whose story we're going to hear about this morning. Allen has been retired from farming for over 8 years now. He owned and operated a grain farm for 40 years in the Kelleher Foam Lake area and still has a home, garden, and yard site that he attends to for 9 months of the year. He also splits his time with his wife and 3 children at their home in Regina. In his retirement, Allen enjoys family activities, various outdoor activities, and travel. He is also a volunteer, coach, and Lucas's biggest cheerleader at his Special Olympic sports and Excel Track Club events. Welcome, Allen. And last but certainly not least, we have with us Donna Flaman-Johnson, who is the Inclusive Employment Broker with the 4 to 40 program, supporting individuals with intellectual disabilities in their job search. She supports individuals associated with Creative Options Regina and the University of Regina's Campus for All program. Donna holds a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Regina and has over 30 years experience working for both the provincial and the federal government in human resources in various professional capacities. She has a heart for helping the disabled in both their personal and professional endeavors and is truly inspired by the organizations who open themselves to putting people first and seeing the possibilities and contributions a person with an intellectual disability can make. So before I turn it over to our presenters this morning, I do just want to mention that if you have any questions, please type them into the chat and we will be sure to ask them at the end of the presentation. So with that, Donna, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Good morning, my name is Donna, and as Nicole said,
I work as the inclusive employment broker with the 4 to 40 program. I'm very happy to be co-presenting today with Erin Orban, who I hope shows up soon, and Allen Faye. Before I start, thank you very much to the Regina District Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to share with you today. We're going to do a bit of a tag team this morning, so I'm going to start the presentation, and hopefully we'll hand it off to Erin Orban, who will talk about the impact that Lucas Faye has had on him personally and on his team at the Department of, or the Ministry of Justice. And then finally, Allen will share his perspective as well, and the impact that Campus for All and 4 to 40 and the Department of Justice has had on Lucas and his family. So I'm going to share my screen because I do have a bit of a PowerPoint presentation. So I hope you can all see this. Can somebody just say yes if you can see my screen?
Looks good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. All right. So I first want to talk about inclusion, and I know that inclusion means different things to different people. At a high level, it's really being a part of something that's meaningful to you as a person and feeling valued when you're there. I believe that it starts with family and school, and as one gets older, it expands to different places and different spaces like university and the workplace. Places of culture or worship or recreation, things like that. And it's usually in these places where people like to be is where they feel valued. And that's where meaningful relationships develop as well. Now, if we shift our focus to someone with an intellectual disability, you know, those things that I mentioned on the previous slide don't typically come as easy for someone with an intellectual disability. Research consistently tells us that persons with intellectual disabilities are less likely to be as educated or gainfully employed as someone without a disability. And this, of course, has an impact on a person's independence. It limits their social relationships, which leads more to exclusion than inclusion. So there are many organizations out there, like the University of Regina, Creative Options Regina, and the 4 to 40 program, which are working hard to change things that I just talked about. So let me tell you just a little bit more about each. I have been working with the 4 to 40 program for a number of years, first as an employer partner when I worked for Farm Credit Canada. And now I work on the other side as their inclusive employment broker. It's an amazing organization, and it's an organization that I'm very proud to be associated with. 4 to 40 was established in 2014 as a partnership between Creative Options Regina, and I'm just going to refer to Creative Options Regina as CORE for the rest of my presentation. So in partnership with CORE and the University of Regina's Campus for All program. So I'll tell you just a little bit more about each of those. First of all, CORE was established in 2009 in partnership with the Ministry of Social Services. It's a nonprofit charitable organization that supports individuals with intellectual and other disabilities as well through supported living and day programming. CORE's culture is very unique. Their culture is one of gentleness. And when I say that, I mean that all of their interactions with people, they're warm and they're welcoming, and they really focus on nurturing relationships with people. They offer very personalized services. They support people to have meaningful days. And so what they have to do is they have to really get to know the person they're supporting and what's meaningful to them. Campus for All is a program for students with intellectual disabilities at the University of Regina. And the students may have, for example, Down syndrome, or they may be on the autism spectrum. This is a picture of Michael. So he's one of the students. He's actually a graduate now of the program, but here's a picture of him in class. Campus for All dates back to 2006. And in 2011, it was fully taken over by the U of R that fall of 2011. It is 100% funded by the university, which means the students pay no tuition. and they have an annual intake. So when the program is at full capacity, there are 12 students in the program. When it was initially rolled out, there were 2 areas of focus. So the first was academics, and what the students would do as part of Campus for All, they would audit 1 class a semester for 4 years. After the 4 years, they would graduate with a certificate in inclusive education. And what's really awesome about the program now is that the students actually receive full alumni status from the U of R. The second area of focus for Campus for All was getting the students involved in a variety of on-campus activities. So just like any other student at the U of R would get involved in different associations or things like that, Campus for All wanted the same for the students in their program. And when you think about any student who goes to university at the end of 4 years, typically at the end of the 4 years, what's next for them is they enter the wonderful world of work. However, it wasn't as easy for the graduates coming into the Campus for All program. So there was a third area of focus added to the program in 2014, and that was employment. So in order to better support the participants in both CORE and Campus for All, the 2 organizations got together to collaborate on a new inclusive initiative called 4 to 40, and that's where I come in. I work as the link between CORE, Campus for All, and the business community to source unique jobs that would be meaningful and fulfilling, engaging for a person with an intellectual disability. And 4 to 40 simply refers to the number of hours in a week that an individual with an intellectual disability would be able to work. So I want to point your attention to this picture. This is Lucas. So we're going to be talking more about Lucas. Aaron will, and so will his dad, Allen, in just a few minutes. So what I do as part of the 4 to 40 program is I partner with various organizations in the Regina business community to carve out and customize roles that would be suitable for a person with an intellectual disability. And these roles must meet 2 very important criteria. And the first one is that the role must be necessary for the business. So I would never go into an organization and ask them to create a role just for the purpose of hiring someone through 4 to 40. It has to be something that already exists that's necessary for the business. And the second criteria would be that the work must be meaningful to the individual. And that could mean a variety of things, depending on who that individual is. So let me tell you how I establish that. When I work with an individual with an intellectual disability who is seeking employment, I follow a process that could take several weeks from start to finish. And the first step is that discovery stage where I sit down with that person and I really get to know them on a personal basis. So I will ask them lots of questions about their interests, their likes, their dislikes, things that they like to do, things they don't like to do, things that they've done before or things that they've never done that they would like to learn. We'll also, go further down the road and we'll talk about, what their dreams are and their long-term goals. And I do this to really get an understanding of what is meaningful to that person. So we'll even talk about their values, things like that. So what's meaningful to them? And then that leads us into a conversation about very specific jobs that they would like to do and even potential organizations they would like to work for. With this information, my next step is then to find the right employer. So I look for employers who have a culture that is warm, is inclusive, supportive, welcoming, all of that. And then, like I said on the previous slide, I take a very personalized approach with them with respect to the person that is looking for work. And together we look at components of existing jobs that we can pull out. So it may be from one job or it may be from a number of jobs, where we can kind of pull out different pieces of those jobs, blend it into one role that would be suitable for this individual with an intellectual disability. Other things I do is I assist with the hiring process. And we also talk about different supports and different accommodations that may be needed to support not only the team, but the individual as well. 4 to 40 commits to maintaining long-term collaborative relationships with every organization that we partner with. And so we do regular follow-up, just to find out, is there other supports that are needed to help that employee succeed and the team and the organization succeed as well with respect to that individual. In my mind, one of the key components that leads to the success of the 4 to 40 program are the job coaches that we place with every new employee. And the job coach is something that we pay for. And when that job coach goes in, they'll work side by side with that new employee, and they will help that employee learn the job, learn the tasks and the requirements associated with their new job. They'll help them develop healthy boundaries and effective working relationships with their coworkers. The job coach will provide feedback, and sometimes it may require some redirection for the employee. And that job coach will stay with that new employee until they can work independently into the organization standards. Here's a picture of Roger, who works at FCC, and his job coach, Tony. Now, to any individual that we support through 4 to 40, success is more than just the wage that they earn. Now, don't get me wrong. The salary is important. It's important to all of us. But the bullet points I have listed here are things that I think we all want when we are at work in the jobs that we have. So just like these things are important to me, I'm sure they're important to you. And they're just as important, if not more important, to an individual with an intellectual disability. We all want to contribute to society and make a difference in our community. We all want to feel pride working for an organization. I think those were my words earlier on, is I'm very proud to work with 4 to 40. It's having a good quality of life and adding purpose to our days. It's being seen, it's being heard, it's building relationships with our coworkers. And it really is being a part of something special and that feeling of inclusion. And all of these things and more is what Aaron Orban and the Ministry of Justice have offered Lucas. 4 to 40 is a story about empowering people and inspiring change and partnering with inclusive employers like the Ministry of Justice. Through 4 to 40, the Ministry of Justice has hired not only Lucas Faye, but also Jason Kish. And in doing so, they've empowered, let me start with that. They've empowered 2 very capable young men, and they've inspired change in those individuals' lives, but they've also inspired change within the Ministry of Justice. And I hope, and I think I know, even beyond the ministry. So at this point, I'd like you all to meet Lucas Faye. He is a Campus for All graduate, and he is a Ministry of Justice, a valued employee of the Ministry of Justice. I'm also very pleased, I hope Aaron is here, that I could do a warm handoff to him at this point. Aaron, again, is the Executive Director of the Access and Privacy Branch with the Ministry of Justice, and he manages Lucas and the team that Lucas works on. And I'm hoping he's here now to tell you more about Lucas and the impact that he has had on Aaron personally and on his team. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point. I see Aaron.
I am here. Thanks, awesome. Donna. I'm sorry to have left you hanging earlier. I just got caught up in something and couldn't join the call right away, but glad to be here now. And it was really great to see Lucas's face there. Lucas, with everybody returning to work from home over the last little while with the third wave of the pandemic, we haven't seen Lucas for a little while in the office. So it was great to see his smiling face there greeting me when I came onto the call. Yeah, thank you, Donna, and for everything that you said about the program really rings true to me. I'm not going to take too much time out of the conversation here today, but I do really want to focus on some of what Donna touched on there in terms of the impact, the really positive impact that we've experienced in being involved with the 4 to 40 program. Before I get into that, though, just a little bit more about sort of the branch and what we do. As Donna said, I'm the executive director of the Access and Privacy Branch, and we are a small but mighty crew of about 16 people that serves the Ministry of Justice Attorney General, as well as the Ministry of Corrections, Policing, and Public Safety. And we take care of providing responses to access to information requests made under the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And then we also have all of the privacy responsibilities under that act and the Health Information Protection Act as well. And we do records management for those two ministries. We also have a enterprise-wide service where we provide advice out to folks in those areas across the ministries within the government of Saskatchewan, and some advice out to local authorities as well. So 16 of us, it's a pretty diverse group. We have some professionals, a couple of lawyers on staff, management staff, and then we have a crew of about around 10 people that Lucas works with in helping out with primarily providing responses to access to information requests. So Lucas started out with us in January of 2020, and what his role is a general program assistant. His main duties are data entry, and in terms of helping out with our access to information requests, one of his main duties is taking, we get a lot of requests for personal information from former inmates, lots of different clients of the ministry who want access to their personal information. So we have to put that in chronological order before it goes to the consultants who then go through and look for information that they need to take out before it's released. And Lucas does that first step of putting everything in order on those files. Right now, as I said, he's not working in the office, but when he is, he's with us a couple of days a week. So basically how we became engaged with 4 to 40 is, it's a bit of an interesting story. We had a high volume of work. Lots of information requests had come in at one time, and we had a few vacancies because of some recent departures. So we had reached out to different areas within the ministry to see if there was admin support out there. One of the areas that we had talked to was our deputy minister's office, and they had sent some folks over. And one of them was familiar with 4 to 40. And she, after having heard of the position we were in, reached out and said, I think this program might be a really good fit for you. So we ended up connecting with Donna and had some conversations. And right from the start, you've all heard Donna talk about the program. She's very passionate about it. And right from the get-go, it felt like it would be a good fit for us. Part of that's because some of you may be aware government has a disability strategy where we're seeking to make Saskatchewan the best place in Canada for people experiencing disabilities to live. And I think a big part of that is for them to have meaningful employment. So that really resonated with me, as well as our inclusion strategy and plan to try and make a more inclusive and diverse workplace by recruiting and retaining a wide range of diverse folks. So the first step was we met with Donna, decided, okay, we're gonna do this, and we worked with our HR business partner from the Public Service Commission and the other unit of the ministry where Jason is working to come up with an interview guide that would be suitable for folks experiencing intellectual disabilities, that would help them get an understanding of the work that they might do for us and for us to see if they would be a good fit. And right from the start, when I interviewed Lucas, it was really clear that he would be a great fit. He's a super enthusiastic young man, very outgoing, and really, really keen on working. And one of the things that that really hit home for me was the work that I described. So, putting files in chronological order, probably one of the least favorite things for a lot of our consultants to do. But when I explained it to Lucas, his initial reaction was, "That's cool. It's really cool." And that kind of enthusiasm is one of the things that he brought to the workplace for us. He has this really positive energy, and the other thing that really came through in the interview and looking at his resume was just how he's so involved in so many things. sports, education, all sorts of activities. I looked at it and his resume and I thought, man, I should be doing more with my time. So, you know, we knew that with Lucas, we were getting a pretty special individual that would be part of our team. So in terms of his impact on the workplace, I think, you know, from an employer perspective, the decision to hire Lucas, it was really an easy one. We had a position open. We had a need for some help with some tasks. We knew that Lucas could fill it. And as Donna had said, we knew that we would be supported. So, you know, from my perspective, it seemed like a really easy decision to make. But one of the things that I felt I needed to do ahead of time was prepare the team. You know, working with a person with an intellectual disability would be a new experience for pretty much everybody on the team. So I wanted to make sure that they were ready for that ahead of time. So we talked with Donna, and she and Allen came into an all branch meeting. So we pulled all of our staff together and just had a conversation about, you know, what it would look like with, you know, Lucas coming into the branch, the kinds of things that we could expect from, in terms of support from 4 to 40, but also, you know, how it would be working with Lucas. And the real sort of aha moment or turning point for me was when Allen started talking about Lucas. And it was so clear right from the get-go, just the pride that's there, you know, really, really proud dad. And it really made me feel even more confident that we'd made the right decision about bringing Lucas on board. But the real point, the real key turning point was when Allen told everybody in the room that we were difference makers. And it had such a huge impact on the team. I could see it at that moment that we weren't just adding another person to the team. We were doing that, but there was also an opportunity for everybody on the team to make a difference in somebody else's life. And that's not something in our world that we necessarily see every day. You know, our work it's for lack of a better way of describing it, a lot of it is just pushing paper. And, you know, we don't necessarily walk away at the end of the day feeling like we may have contributed in a positive way to someone's lived experience. But this was an opportunity for people to feel and experience that. So I think, you know, from that moment on, the team really rallied around the idea of Lucas joining the team and being part of what we do. And him being there, you know, that positive attitude that I talked about, his work ethic, his ability to see things as cool that other people just kind of feel is routine, has really, really rubbed off on everybody. I think we're a stronger team as a result. People have, you know, supported Lucas in ways that now they're finding, I think they're being more supportive of each other as well, just as a result of having him around. One of the other things that I think has been a real bonus of having Lucas there is he's a really social person, and it helps kind of keep people from getting just, you know, putting their heads down and just slogging through. Lucas comes around during breaks and he stops in and he checks on people and sees how they're doing and has lunch with folks, and it's really added a great piece on that side of things. The other thing that I wanted to just mention, and Donna talked about the support from 4 to 40 and the job coach. That's been something that's been really a key to being successful in this program. So Lucas is at the point now where he's I guess graduated from needing the help of the job coach. But for the first you know, several months, we had a break where when Lucas first went home, he wasn't able to continue to work with us because his work is primarily hands-on. But that job coach has really helped him figure out, you know, break things down into bite-sized tasks for him so that the work is easy for him to understand. And he's been very, very successful. Talking with the managers that sort of supervise the work that he does, there's been a really, really low error rate in Lucas's work, you know, because we have to go back and double check on everything. No greater error rate than a person who doesn't have an intellectual disability. And a lot of that, I think, is contributed to the support that he's received from the job coach. And now he has, one of the things that Lucas does is he uses sticky notes to help him, chunk out his tasks in ways that are easily managed for him. And he works out of a room where there's a big table and he can spread out his work, and you walk in there sometimes and it's just a maze of sticky notes, but it works for him and he gets it done. We end up buying a lot more sticky notes, but that's a small price to pay for having him there, for him being successful and him contributing to, I think, the success of our team. We're, I believe, a much more inclusive team. People are getting much more engaged in that inclusivity strategy within the branch, and it's spreading across government as well. Donna alluded to that in her comments. We've had numerous occasions now where I've been asked to come and speak about our experience with Lucas to other ministries, with our Public Service Commission, now with you folks, and really glad to do this because I think it's such an important initiative. And anything that we can do to find meaningful employment for folks like Lucas, I'm just happy to do what I can to support that. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And I think I'll just leave it there and I'll turn it back to you, Donna.
Actually, I will hand it off to Allen at this point.
Yeah. Well, I wish to thank the Chamber of Commerce and you, Donna, for allowing me to talk about how this has affected Lucas and our family, and how incredible, and how it has been just important, so important and meaningful to Lucas and us. What you've done for us and what Aaron has done for us. I can't help but every time I talk to you guys, I thank you guys every time, because it's hard not to. And when you see the joy, the incredible light in Lucas that he has, and you can feel that. So I'm a little emotional about this stuff. So excuse me, but anyway. As many of you might have children, you probably worry about them on all this and all the stuff that can happen to them through their lives. And when you have a special needs child, it's 10 times more. Okay, you have 10 times more than that. So you gotta get through that, and you go through life where you worry about them going through school, whether there's going to be any kind of marginalization or bullying. And whether how independent he's going to be, how they're going to have a meaningful job and a meaningful life and all that. So, so anyway, you go through that, and you take all this into consideration with what we have to go through. And it's almost like making a little analogy is like everybody likes a lot of people like chocolate. Cookies like chocolate chip cookies, and you chocolate chip cookie those, you make a wonderful ice cream with it and stuff. But without things like Donna and Aaron, you just have a cookie dough, right? And it, you can maybe eat it like that, but it's not the best. So you got to have these type of things that go ahead and bring the nice, wonderful cookies to light, where you bake it and it's just mouth watering and everything. That's the thing that these guys do for Lucas, as in a sense, right? So he's had the right ingredients through his life. He's family and schooling through St. Jerome and Riffle, and the friendships, and learning life through sports and through Special Olympics and even Excel Track Club and stuff like that. He's been fortunate, very very lucky, attending and connecting at the U of R with the Campus for All, with wonderful people like Faith, and the tutelage of PACO and all the supporting professors and helpers that he's had through his life. So we get up to that point, and then all these ingredients are fantastic and they're sorely needed. But then you need that final step. You need that, the final thing where Aaron and like Donna and in that sense it's Aaron to help and with this, and it's just wonderful to have an education and a feather in your cap to complete that, and an awesome program like Campus for All. But you I think you need something more. It'd be, how sad it would be if that would just be the end of the story, right? You need something more than that. Otherwise it gets a little stale. So Donna finds Aaron, and Lucas is very fortunate that way. He's had many lucks and blessings through his life. He's had a wonderful job coach with Uzochi. Like, she's been incredible. Lucas always beaming about her too when he's been training with her and stuff. So very lucky. It makes that program extra special with that. That's just something that we really need. You can make a masterpiece with these people, with these kids, these adults. You have to make a difference, like you say. You need to make a difference for these people, because they are special. They are special. They are very special, and you don't realize it till you realize how much of a blessing he's been to our lives. So anyway, sorry. I just to show you how thankful and we are for Aaron and the Department of Justice, and they took a chance with Lucas, and so glad that he did. And the whole department has shown Lucas nothing but friendship, caring, and love. And this is one instance I'd like to share with you, one of the many. But one of the things that happened, like Aaron, and we mentioned that he came in at a rough time with he just around a year ago when he was convocating, and after all this time you think, oh goodness, we can finally get across and walk across that stage and all this, and then COVID, okay, can't do that. Got a job, oh, COVID, can't do that. and so he's at home. He needs stuff. He needs structure, and he misses that, and he loves work, and so he's at home, and lo and behold, they sent him a card and some gift, and congratulating him on his graduation, and on his convocating, and also just telling, saying how he missed them and stuff. So not only that, they went and sent email to him with all these co-workers right from their home. They all sent a heartfelt, beautiful message, and how they congratulated him and how they missed him, and talking about the Leafs and the Riders and the Jays and stuff like that he misses with talking with these guys. But it just shows you how they would go over and above what I just wouldn't expect. So hats off to these guys. They're just amazing, and where would they be without that? So the joy that Lucas has from work, I'll just give you a little hint here of how I wish I could bottle this and show this to you, because it's really amazing to watch. But I take him to work because I don't want him on the bus when he was going there at the time when he was going to work. Because of COVID, I drive him every day, and he's just like higher. He's like floating in a cloud when I'm taking him to work. He's in the car. He's just bubbling. It's hard to explain, but he's just about flying out of the car because he's so excited about going to work, and he's talking about it, and he's. I pull up in front of the car, and he runs, and then I tell him each time, he's like, one of these days you're gonna wipe somebody out on the sidewalk because you're just going in so fast. You can't wait to get in because he is so excited. Come back to pick him up at lunch, and he's just bubbling. He's just saying, oh yeah, Dad, I was on the computer, did this and this and this and this, and it's awesome, Dad. So he needs that. I think all these special needs people, they need something where they have a passion. They have a passion, and they could enjoy it. They just want to do something. They want to be part of this world that they feel like they're normal, right? And they are in so many regards, but they're different too. But I just say that my experience with with being special with stuff, and I see special needs children and adults all the time, and they're not just Lucas. They all have this joy. They have this joy with them, and that you give, and they give you more. So you feed off that. You can feed off their joy. It really helps you. They're not a burden. They're a blessing. So if you give them a chance, if you're patient with them, they will give you so much more, and I'm just so thankful that there is, there's an aspect of CORE and the university and Campus for All and 4 to 40 there to bring this to fruition, because without it, my heart, it's good. What is given to our family was given to Lucas. My heart just busts. It's just something that I can't help but get a little emotional about. So excuse me for that, but I just wanted to give this perspective of how important this is to our family. Lucas's long-term stuff, it's kind of different for them, because they just go day by day. Like it's kind of a pretty neat existence, actually, when you think about all the stress and all the stuff that we have to deal with in life, because we want to get the car, we want to get the house, we want to get, and rightly so. But these people, they have a glow of joy about them that they don't look at that stuff. They're here for the here and now. They just want that food in the tummy and the joy of friendship and a nice warm feeling of being needed, being needed and making a difference, and you guys can I hope there's people out there that can make a difference and bring more of these individuals into the workforce. Yeah, you guys won't be sorry. Like you're gonna see what I've seen personally as a parent, and what they see at work and what they see around. These people they're awesome. They're what we need in this life. I think we need a little bit more of this around, because it benefits us all. So again, I thank you. I'm sorry for getting a little bit there, but it touches my heart, and these guys touch my hearts too, like Aaron and Donna. I can't say enough, and I thank you every day, and I can't help but thank you now too again. So thanks again, and thanks for letting me talk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Allen. It sounds like you've raised an incredible young man. And thank you to Donna and Aaron as well for sharing, a very powerful story and the positive impacts that it's had on everyone involved. I think we need to hear more and share more of these incredible feel-good stories. There's not enough of them out there. So I appreciate you all sharing. So we do have a bit of time for some questions. So we'll start off. There was a question in the chat. If anyone else has any questions, please enter it in the chat now, and we'll be sure to ask that of any of our presenters. So there was a question about, if programs like 4 to 40 and Campus for All help immigrants who have language and cultural barriers as well. And I see Faith has already put our response to that question, which is great. So if I'm understanding this correctly, currently the program only works with individuals that are a part of Campus for All and the core program. And they may be from other cultural backgrounds, but they would have some type of intellectual disability. Did Donna or Faith, did you want to speak a bit more to that, or did I respond to that correctly based on the chat?
Oh, I can't unmute myself.
There you go.
Yes, you responded to it correctly. I think there are other programs in the community, like Open Door Society and other places where they're geared towards immigrants or new immigrants that I'm not sure if that would meet Daniel's question or the population that he's speaking to. But yeah, we're 4 to 40 is a very small initiative, and really only has the capacity to serve those people with intellectual disability that are served by Creative Options and Campus for All.
Great, thank you. So are all the individuals that are employed through the 4 to 40 program all graduates of the Campus for All program?
No. Donna, go
Okay.
ahead. Donna, go ahead. I shouldn't be.
No, by all means, Faith, you chime in as well. No, they're not. As long as they're served by either Campus for All or Creative Options Regina, I can support them through the 4 to 4 that program. But like Faith said earlier, they need to be associated with one of those two programs. And even when it is Campus for All, they don't necessarily have to be graduates of the program. We would go through a process to determine if we would consider them to be work ready, and we help them become work ready. And once we determine that they are, we're happy to try and work with employers on job specific to them. So it could be either a student or graduate of Campus for All, or it could be one of those that is an individual that is served by Creative Options Regina.
Great, thank you. So Donna, you talked about, the two really important criteria about, the role needs to be necessary to the business, needs to be meaningful to the individual, which I think are really great, because that really provides benefits and to everyone that's involved, and really helps to integrate that individual into the organization. So either Donna or maybe Aaron, you have some perspective on this as well. What would some of the things that an organization would want to think about if they were considering starting this process and hiring someone through the program?
I'll jump in on that first, Nicole. I think, for us, one of the key things was making sure that we were working with our HR business partner at the Public Service Commission. It's a unionized position. So, one of the things that the Public Service Commission and the union worked together was to actually create a job classification for positions like this, where we're working with people who have an intellectual disability or, other special needs. So it's a job specific a specific job classification that we can use in this kind of an instance. So, not everyone may have those sorts of issues where they're working in a unionized environment, but it's certainly something to consider. How might there be any kind of an impact on the collective bargaining agreement, and think those sorts of things through. Otherwise, I think from my experience, it really was about looking at the kind of work that we had and ensuring that there was a way to adapt it so that it could be accomplished successfully by Lucas. So part of that is, understanding the kind of support that Lucas needed to be able to do the work successfully. And then, also what are our expectations? For our work, we have a timeline that's legislated for us, and we can't go beyond that. So it's really important for us that Lucas, or whoever is doing that work, is successful at it, because we're up against a clock. So circling back around to the notion of the work being meaningful for both the employer and the employee, I can't think of it's sometimes kind of routine work, but it is very important for us, and I think that's probably the biggest thing for us in preparing for Lucas to come on board, was just making sure that we could that he could be successful, and that we had the right pieces in place for him to do that.
Great, thank you. So we have another question in the chat, and Donna, I know you spoke a little bit to kind of Creative Options and the 4 to 40 program, but there's a question about, kind of the meaning or the intent of the programs, kind of what's the mission and vision. So what's kind of the ultimate goals of the organization?
Well, going back to, I'll start with Campus for All. It's opening up post-secondary opportunities for those with intellectual disabilities. So both of them, it's really focused on inclusion. It really is. So including those, whether they are students wanting to pursue higher education, you know, it's providing the supports for them to be the best they can be, whether it is in school or whether it is just, you know, leading productive lives. It's just really all about inclusion. Like I would say, that's kind of the underlying premise of both. So on the Campus for All side, it's around the inclusive education. On the core side, it's about, you know, helping these individuals who are part of that program have meaningful days. And so, like I said earlier, it's really getting to know that person, and it's a very individualized process and service that they provide. Just really getting to know the person and what is meaningful to them. You know, and it's all around, with core especially, it's all around like nurturing those relationships and helping them build those relationships that they might not otherwise have.
Absolutely.
Michael, I see you're on as well, so whether you'd like to chime in with respect to core, please go ahead.
You're doing great, Donna. My apologies, I don't have a webcam on here today. But no, you're absolutely right. As an organization, we're working with people and families in our community to provide supports for those experiencing intellectual disability and often have concurrent disorders. The organization is providing supports, a range of supports, from family supports to in-home supports that may be a few hours a day to 24 hours a day. So sort of a wide range of services that we provide that's geared towards helping people being able to contribute and be fully a part of our broader community.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. There's another really great comment from Myrna in the chat about her son who has cerebral palsy on his left side, and you know, had some challenges in getting work, but had a really positive attitude, who is now a journeyman plumber and journeyman pipe fitter and has been working for 22 years. So another, you know, great story without the programs and the support of the 4 to 40 program and Campus for All, but a really, really great comment. Thank you for sharing that, Myrna, sharing your perspective. So we're coming up on 11 o'clock. So I don't want to go over time, but maybe just, you know, one last question to Donna. So if an organization was wanting to get involved in the 4 to 40 program, how might they go about doing that?
Well, my email is very easy. It's just donna@4to40.ca. So I would encourage you to, you know, share with others what you heard today. If this resonates with you, and if you feel that, you know, you're an employer that has a culture that is inclusive and welcoming, that would be a good environment for someone with an intellectual disability, that support and things like that that Erin had talked about, please reach out to me. We have got so many individuals in both Campus for All and in CORE who they really want to contribute. They would like to work, contribute, to feel valued, to you know, just have, you know, more added purpose to their days. So if you, or if other employers that you know in the community might be, you know, interested in something like this, I would love to talk more with you. So please reach out to me.
Great, thank you. All right, before we end the call this morning, we do have a $150 gift certificate from Andrea Norberg Photography to give away this morning. So let's do that now. Alan, would you do the honors of picking a number between 1 and, what have we got? 38, number between 1 and 38.
Let's go one of my favorite football players, 23. 23,
Jeanette?
That would be Myrna Brotham. If I'm hacking your last name, please forgive me, from Prairie Land and Investment Services. We will send that out to you, Myrna.
Perfect. Congratulations, Myrna. All right. Well, again, I would like to thank Alan, Donna, and Erin for sharing that incredibly powerful story with us this morning. Like I said, I think we need to hear more of these feel-good stories these days. So really, really appreciate you sharing with us. Thank you again to our sponsors and to everyone for attending. So with that, have a great rest of your day, everyone. And take care.